All right, so for this episode, I was going to bore you to death just a little bit with the actual chemistry behind fats and their makeup, which I think once you kind of understand the chemistry behind it, it makes sense when we talk about things like omega-6 and omega-3 and all that. You know, what does that really mean anyway? So when you think of fat, what it's actually made up of are carbon atoms, which are in a long chain. And so the number of carbons that are in the chain determines if it's a short chain, if there's only a few, all the way up to very long chain fatty acids, which may have 20 or more carbons all in a row. So carbon can bond to one another through a single bond, at which point the molecule can actually twist around just a little bit, or it can bond in a double bond. And as soon as it's bonded like that, it can't move. So it actually locks the molecule into a certain form. So it can be locked kind of into this form, which would be considered a cis, CIS configuration, or it could bond like this, which would be considered a trans configuration. And so that's kind of where we get the terminology for trans fat. So you can basically have a fat that has the same number of carbons as another fat, but because of the way the double bond is manufactured, it can be either a good fat or a bad fat. And of course, there's a lot in the news right now about how trans fat, that configuration, our bodies we don't process it well. It ends up just like it throws a wrench in our machinery and it causes all kinds of problems. So really none of us should ever be eating trans fat, and that's what they're talking about is the double bond. The carbon, the first carbon in the chain on which that double bond occurs is where they get the terminology for omega-3, omega-6, omega-9. That just basically, with omega-3, it means that double bond, the first one's on the third carbon in the chain. So omega-6 is going to be on the sixth carbon in the chain. So going back to what we discussed last time, there's physical differences in these fats based on where the double bonds are. If there are double bonds, if there are no double bonds, it's considered a saturated fat. It's literally saturated with hydrogen. If there's one double bond, like in olive oil, it's considered a monounsaturated fat. And if there's more than one double bond, it's a polyunsaturated fat. And so specifically with the polyunsaturated fats, where those bonds are located determines what they're called. And so again, like we talked about last time, the physical differences in these fats allow them to be the precursors for different things in our body. So all fat is not the same, and we really do need a variety of both mono, poly, and even some saturated fat in our diet. So next time we're actually going to delve into a little bit more about the differences in omega-6 and omega-3 and what they're the precursors for and what they actually do. So stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.